Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to go over my last year's beauty favorites, so my 2022 beauty favorites, and I'm going to discuss if they have been replaced with other holy grails and kind of just update you on what is happening with my last year's luxury beauty favorites. Just I think it's interesting to reassess, and maybe this will pinpoint what other products I want to try this year or products that I need to stop buying. I actually am going to kind of do an update video on that as well. But let's just get started. So I'm going to start out with what I started in that video, and that is talking about primers. So last year, my favorite primer was the Paula's Choice Smoothing Primer Serum SPF 30. And I actually have completely used that bottle, and I have repurchased another bottle. I actually really love this sunscreen primer, so it does have an SPF 30 in it. So I like that it is an SPF. So typically I use it partly as my skincare. It's like a skincare makeup hybrid, I want to say. And this is actually a product that I did repurchase, and it's a product that I actually don't mention a lot on my channel, but I use it a lot in my everyday life just because I do put this in my skincare. Like I put it in my bathroom where I do my skincare. So I use this as like a last step in my makeup or in my skincare routine. So I apply this on my skin, and then I go in with my tinted SPF. The one thing I want to say about this primer is that it can be a little bit finicky. So it does not work with water-based foundations or anything. So if I'm using like the Chanel Water Fresh tint, these do not play well together. So if I know I want to use this foundation, then I will just not use this primer because I do want to say it is a little bit finicky that way. It also doesn't work very well with the Chantecaille Future Skin foundation. But the other foundations like my Chanel Sublimage L'Essence Détente, the Dior Super Potent Serum Foundation, my Peau foundations, this primer works very well with those foundations. So I will say this primer can be a little bit finicky, and it's not something I use every single day because of that, because obviously I switch up my foundations. But I still love this primer, and I just love the effect it gives. I didn't really go over that, but the effect that this gives on the skin. So it is a clear primer, so you're not going to get any sort of coverage or tint or anything with this. It just goes on clear, and it's a very silicone-y feeling primer. So it feels very smoothing on the skin. And what it does is it completely blurs your skin. Like, this is the most filtered blurring primer, which is so surprising, and no one ever talks about this. But this is honestly so filtered and smoothing, and it just makes my pores look completely invisible. So I love that. So this is something I still utilize and use pretty often. It's just something that I typically forget to mention on my channel. So there's an update on that one. Next is the Chantecaille, the Sheer Glow Rose Face Tint, which is kind of, I have like a top shelf makeup storage, I guess you could say. And this is where that product remains. Maybe I'll go over what's on my top shelf sometime soon. But this product is in that storage area, and you can see, or maybe you can't see because of the light, but I have almost gone through this. It does still smell good. I always worry with these jars if they will start going bad. This does say it's good for 12 months, and typically with foundations and products like this, I do really try to keep them around that 12 months. Sometimes they'll go and over into like the 16-month, but I really try and be careful with these sort of products because I do think bacteria can really collect, and I think that's kind of gross. So I do try and be very wary with my foundations and products like this, that I am actually using them in a pretty good amount of time. I don't want to pass like, at least 3 years is way too long to have a sort of liquid foundation product for me personally. So I really try and use these up. I'm almost done this product, but besides the point, I do still think this is very beautiful. This is something I haven't really talked about on my channel in the past year. And I think sometimes I feel like my channel is very repetitive, and sometimes I worry that you guys get bored of that. So I do tend to try not to mention everything every single time. But to be honest, this is a product I still use a lot in my personal life off camera. So I should get better about just talking about it and not really caring if it sounds repetitive, because you guys honestly do seem to like that. At least some of you. I know that I do get some complaints, but for the majority, a lot of you do really like that I talk about the best of the best in my holy grails. And I still really love this product. I typically don't apply it all over the face because it does have a little bit of a sheen to it, but I really like it underneath the eyes. I like to use it as kind of a primer underneath my concealer. Now I will say, I did want to mention this, but my mom actually picked up this primer and she does not like it. So that just goes to show that products don't work for everyone, and I still really like this product to prime my concealer, but for my mom, she doesn't really like it. So I can't remember what she uses as a replacement, but again, I have to bring her back on my channel so she can do an updated favorites. For me, this works really well, but it clearly doesn't work well for everyone, but I love it. I had a few different foundations that I mentioned in my 2022 beauty favorites, and the first one was the Clé de Peau foundation in the shade 040. This is still a holy grail product of mine. I absolutely love this foundation. This is something I use on a weekly basis. It just leaves your skin feeling so beautiful. It's a very blurring and smoothing foundation. This foundation, so it was a reformulated version from Clé de Peau's original foundation formula. They really improved this formula because it's not as glowy as the previous version. I would say it has a little bit of coverage and it sets down a little bit better on the skin. So I think if you have combo skin, you could still get use out of this foundation. You just need to set with a little bit of powder. Not sure about super oily skin, but on my dry skin, this is heaven. This is like the perfect foundation. I have two of them because I have completely gone through this full jar last year. And I feel really bad, again, because this is a foundation I don't talk about all the time on my channel. And I don't talk about it all the time because I did get some comments about people complaining about the price. And I'm just like a super sensitive person. So when people say stuff, even if it's not really that mean, I still am like, I don't know, I'm just super sensitive. So I get really affected by it, which is silly. I know I shouldn't, but I just have been trying not to mention it as often or as frequently. But truly, this is a foundation that I really, really love, and for me it is worth the price because just of how my skin looks with this foundation. So I really like this foundation, and I'm going to have a better habit of just not letting that stuff affect me and still talking about my favorites, even if it's repetitive or even if the price is really high, because I know some of you really appreciate that. But besides the point, I did get a backup of this. Clé de Peau was doing an up to 25% off sale for Boxing Day, so I picked up a backup because it's just a foundation that I always want to have on hand in my collection. And I think the container is an upgrade. I'll show you the previous version. This was the container. I still have this because I don't know, when I travel, I like to put foundations in here. Probably silly, but I think this new jar is even more beautiful, and it's just so luxurious feeling and looking, and just the whole experience of using this foundation is such a pleasure. So love this foundation still. The next foundation that was a favorite is the Dior Capture Total Super Potent Serum Foundation. This is honestly, if the Chanel Sublimage Licence de Tint wasn't invented, this would be like my holy grail foundation. And I feel like I was using it slightly more than the Chanel Sublimage Licence de Tint. However, it looks like they've discontinued this. I'm not sure if that is 100% confirmed, but I cannot find this anywhere in Canada. You cannot buy it anywhere. So I think that maybe they're reformulating it or they're discontinuing it, which is really upsetting because I absolutely love this foundation. I do wear the shade 3N, and it's pretty much a perfect match for me. I really, really love how this blurs the skin. It perfects the skin. It gives you coverage without it looking like makeup. You can still kind of get a no makeup look out of this product, and it just leaves your skin honestly looking so filtered and blurred. It's like the most blurring foundation I would say in my collection for my skin type, and I'm really upset that they are possibly reformulating it. But hopefully the reformulation will be even better, and hopefully they'll come out with this in even more shades. But I still really like this foundation. I think I only have like a few pumps left of this, so I have been kind of saving it. And that's probably why you don't see it on my channel as much, because I just can't seem to find it in stores anymore. So I haven't been mentioning it, but I still love it. And I feel like this will be an interesting update because this is something I honestly haven't used probably since like my last year's favorites. But this is the Chanel Le Beige Water Fresh Complexion Touch in the shade B30. So I actually went through a full container of this. Like this was an empty and I repurchased it. But then when I repurchased it, I kind of stopped using it, and I'm not sure why. I think it was because the Chanel, their Sublimage concealer came out, so I started using that more, and I really loved that concealer. And then when the Serum concealer came out, I really stopped using this product, and I didn't even use my Chanel product anymore. But I do really like this, more so on the under eye area, kind of as a concealer, like a targeted concealer. I still like it all over the face because it's basically the Chanel Water Fresh tint, but it has more coverage. So this is really great if you're someone that likes the idea of the Water Fresh tint, but this was just too non-makeup-y for you. If you like something with a little bit more light, buildable to medium coverage, this is great. If you're someone that likes water-based formulas, this product is also really great as well. It is a really beautiful foundation. It's very skin-like. This is a product that works really well in hot, humid weather, because even though this is like a more hydrating foundation, it doesn't look super glowy on the skin. It actually does set down, so I don't need to powder it. I do really like this on the skin, and this is kind of a reminder to me to use this product more because I actually do really like it. I think I just haven't been using the Chanel Water Fresh tint as often as I normally have been, so that's kind of why I haven't been using it as often. But I will say these two together, this all over the skin and then this is concealer, is like the most beautiful no makeup complexion ever. It is so gorgeous, and it's typically something I use more in the spring and summertime, so I probably will be using this combination a little bit more. And this has kind of actually re-inspired me to pull this out and play with these again because I really like this combo. The downfall I want to say with this product is because it is water-based, it does not play well with other products. So typically I just like to go in with like a moisturizer. Sometimes SPFs don't even work well underneath this product because it will pill, kind of like what I was talking about with this Paula Choice primer. It does have the tendency to pill and remove product underneath. So these products can be a little bit finicky, which is why I don't use them all the time, but they just look so gorgeous on the skin. So this is kind of a reminder, but I still do like this. I just need to pull it out a little bit more. So that's actually good that we're talking about this because I'm going to leave this out so that I actually use it. And the shade B30, it does work all over the face. I feel like this formula runs a little bit dark. It's a little bit too light for me, like just slightly too light, so that's kind of why I like to use it a bit as a concealer. But actually one of you suggested mixing in this Water Fresh Complexion Touch with the Water Fresh tint, just to give the Water Fresh tint a hint more coverage, and that combination is beautiful. It's spectacular together, so a really good combo if you have both of these in your collection as well. The concealer that I mentioned in my 2022 beauty favorites was the Chanel Sublimage Le Correcteur Yeux. I forgot the name of it. I'm actually almost done this concealer, but I haven't pulled it out in so long. It still smells good, thank God. Yeah, okay, it still smells good. So I really need to use this. That's gonna be my goal of 2024 is to use this up because this only lasts, it lasts for a year, but I think I've had it over a year because this is a year-old video. So I've had it over a year. It's going to expire soon. I really need to use the rest of this. Will I repurchase this? I love my Ciroc concealer so much, and this Chanel Sublimage concealer is so pricey. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to think about it. Once I use this more, I'll go over that if I ever run through this, but I need to go through this first before deciding if I want to repurchase this. I do really like this concealer. It has a really great medium coverage, really similar to the Chanel Sublimage Le Tint foundation, so it has a bit more of a fuller coverage. It has a bit more of a matte finish, I want to say. It doesn't have any sort of radiance to it, like any shimmer or anything like that, but it does add a nice hydration under the eyes. It's not too hydrating under the eyes, but it's also not too matte under the eyes, but a really great coverage. It's just something that I have honestly not pulled for since I've received that Ciroc concealer. I haven't used this at all since, which is not great because this was very pricey. Yeah, and even since I've received the Givenchy concealer, I really have not been reaching for this, so that's going to be another product that I really want to work through because this was so pricey and I really loved it when I was using it. Like I mentioned it in a bunch of favorites videos, and obviously it was my year-end favorite, so I did really like it. So that's just reminding me that I have to pull it out again. I guess I probably stopped using it a lot because I have just gotten pretty lazy with my makeup. I'm someone that just likes to get it done quickly, and it does require a little bit more effort to use this because obviously it is in a jar. And I would say probably the downfall about it being in a jar as well is that not only it's a little bit more time consuming, is that it will go bad faster just because you're opening and closing this jar. So that's kind of the downfalls, but I'm almost done and I really would like to go through this. So I still like this concealer, but I just don't use it as often as I hope to because of the price. I'm putting that on my top shelf as well to remind me to use it because I need to get through that before it goes bad because that would just be upsetting. Next on the list is the Chantecaille Anti-Aging Face Tint. This is in the shade Sheer Bronze. It only comes in one shade. I really hope Chantecaille releases this in more shades because this, I didn't mention this in my Holy Grail beauty products, but this is a Holy Grail product. I just didn't really know what category to put it in because this is like a multi-purpose product. Okay, this still smells good too, thank God. This is only good for 12 months as well. It's been over a year since I've had this, so I'd really like to get through this as well before I repurchase another one. I will repurchase this product because of how much I love it. So this I like to use in a multitude of different ways. So I like to use it as a primer underneath my makeup. So once I've applied like my SPF and my moisturizer, I'll go in with this all over the skin. And I can just use this as a foundation product. I can use it all over the skin. It will give my skin just a really healthy glow. When I blend it all over to the skin, especially if I have a layer of self-tan on, it does match my skin pretty dead on, so I don't necessarily need a foundation over top. So I really like that product just all over the skin, especially in the spring and summer, because it has, it's not like a mattifying product, but it does set down on the skin so that I don't necessarily need to powder it or go over top with any more products. And what it does when you use it all over the skin just alone as a standalone product, it gives the most beautiful blurred effect to your skin. So your skin just looks really smooth and filtered, and it's so gorgeous just how it smooths out the skin and just makes it look perfected without adding coverage. It almost has it has like the sheerest tint of coverage, similar to like the Chanel Water Fresh tint. It's just adding a little bit of color, but it's adding this filtered effect to your skin, which I think is why it kind of mimics the effect of adding coverage to the skin, is just because it blurs everything out and looks so smooth and beautiful. So I love to use this in the summer and spring as like a no makeup product. It's gorgeous. I also like to mix it in with foundations if foundations are a little bit too light. I did that today with my foundation because I have a little bit of tan on, so I mixed a little bit of this into my foundation, just mixed it together on my hand and applied it all over the skin. And then I also like to use this kind of just as a cream bronzer, so I'll take a little bit with a brush, I'll just apply it to my hand and then apply it all over the skin just as a cream bronzer to give my skin a little bit of glow. And then what that does as a bronzer is it also gives that smoothing and blurred effect just on the high points of my skin where I get that sun-kissed effect. And it's gorgeous. This is another kind of holy grail product that is beautiful. I wish I mentioned it in that holy grail video, but this is still a love and a product I would repurchase once I'm through with it. And my favorite bronzer in 2023 was this Guerlain Terracotta Light, the Sun-Kissed Healthy Glow Powder in the shade 03 Moyenne Doré. I still really love this bronzer. It's a really gorgeous formulation. It's really, Guerlain bronzers are interesting because they feel really hard pressed. Like you need to be heavy-handed when you pick it up. But you don't actually need to be heavy-handed. It just feels that way. Like it feels very hard pressed into this pan. It's not a very powdery powder. But this formula is really gorgeous. I love that it has these shades of like blush tones in them because it adds this really beautiful brightness to your bronzer. So it gives your bronzer life. This is a product I can just use on its own without having to use like another blush or a highlighter on top of it. So if I want to be really quick with my makeup, this is a product I use. But it's something that I don't use as often as I did in 2023. And I think that's because I have that Hermes bronzer, which I'm obsessed with. And I also have that Valentino bronzer, which I like a little bit more than this bronzer, even though this is something I would still hold in my collection and something I still use. It's just not something I use as often as I did in 2023 because I kind of picked up some new products that replace this, even though I don't want to say replace it because this is a unique product because of these tones in this bronzer. I still really like this formula, and I just think having a Guerlain bronzer in your collection is really lovely, and this is gorgeous, but it's just not my absolute favorite anymore. The blush that I mentioned in my 2022 beauty favorites is the Gucci. This is the Cheeks and Eyes Powder Luminous Matte Blush in the shade 04 Bright Coral, and that was my favorite blush in 2022. This is still a really amazing formula. It is beautiful. It is a very silky, finely milled blush that just gives the most beautiful glow on the skin. I would say it's more matte. It's called a luminous matte blush. Not so much luminous as it is more on the matte side, but it's not a completely flat matte. There's still a little bit of life to it. So it gives you a little bit of glow. It enhances your natural beauty, gives you just a pop of color. This is something I use more in the spring and summer just because it is a brighter coral color. It's not super obnoxiously bright, but it is a little bit brighter, and these colors I just tend to reach for more in the summer. But this is a beautiful formula. I still really like this. I just prefer the Valentino formula like a little bit, but this would still be in my top 5 blushes. So this is something that I will not be decluttering. I'm going to be doing a declutter series. This is something I'm going to keep in my collection because it's really beautiful. The packaging is luxurious. The formula is just really great as well. So I still really like that. I just need to use it more in my collection. And then we have the Eclat Peau Luminizing Face Enhancer in the shade 22 Shooting Stars. So I have two of these Clé de Peau Luminizing Face Enhancers. So I have the shade 202 Golden Galaxy and the shade 22 Shooting Stars. So this is the Golden Galaxy one. It's that champagne one. This is what I mentioned in the best of luxury makeup. And then the Shooting Stars is just in this package, this plastic packaging, because I only wanted to buy the refills and then have this one case where I can just kind of switch them out. I didn't switch it out today because I was too lazy, but the Shooting Stars is a really beautiful, it's more of a bronzy tone. So it has these shades of like bronze, it's a little yellow toned bronze, a champagne tone bronze, and like a deeper bronze. And when you mix them together, you just get the most beautiful bronzy glow. And it's just such a sophisticated sheen. It is absolutely gorgeous. I still love, love, love this highlighter. Even though it looks like it's really dark, when you blend it onto the skin, it actually isn't too dark. It's what I'm wearing on my cheeks today. It's a very subtle glow. This one that's in the shade Golden Galaxy, this is a more intense version. So these formulations are a little bit different. The Golden Galaxy has a little bit more of a sheen, a little bit more of that intense glow that just is a little bit more noticeable on the cheeks, I want to say, even though it's not like a crazy highlighter. But the Shooting Stars is just a little bit more subtle, and I really, really love this on just for an everyday highlighter. It just gives the most gorgeous glow. It's beautiful, still one of my favorites, still recommend it. So thankfully, I still love that product. Next, we have the Chantecaille Sunbeam Cheek and Eye shade in the shade Ray. I really hope they make this product permanent. This is one of my favorites in my collection because it's a multi-use product. I can use this on the cheeks and the eyes. I love to bring this on vacation, or if I'm going to someone's house, if I'm staying overnight somewhere, because again, it's a multi-use product for me. So gorgeous on the cheeks because it gives that really beautiful, like wet looking glow. So it just looks like your cheeks are healthy and you've been eating all your fruits and vegetables and drinking your water. Beautiful, beautiful glow. And then on the eyes, it's beautiful as well because it gives you like that supermodel glow, that red carpet kind of glow that's really just, it's really just beautiful. It's just, it's enhancing makeup, so it doesn't look like heavy makeup on the skin. It just enhances your natural beauty, which I absolutely love. Just a gorgeous product. So I really wish they would make this permanent because this is one of my favorite products in my entire collection. So I still love this. I just don't talk about it lots because it's limited edition. So once it's gone, it's gone. And that's why I hate limited edition products, because I never end up using them a lot, especially on my channel. I don't like talking about them because you can't get them anymore. So that's another thing I'm going to be wary of picking up this year, is picking up limited edition products, because it just kind of seems pointless when I can't use them. But I do still love this. Next, I have the Chantecaille Lotus Radiance Highlighter. So this was released in the Chantecaille Holiday Collection for 2022. I purchased this, and I really love this highlighter because it actually reminds me a lot of the Clé de Peau Refining Pressed Powder, or it reminds me of the Clé de Peau Luminizing Skin Enhancer, but their older formula. So this older formula, this is in the shade 18. This is almost like a powder. It's like a brightening powder, so it almost didn't act as a highlighter, which is probably why they redid this formula, because this didn't act as those normal highlighters where you see that sheen on your skin. This was almost just like a brightening powder. So it has a little tiny bit of sheen, but it's not a noticeable shimmer. It's not a detectable shimmer. This is the most subtle highlighter you're going to get. This is exactly what this Chantecaille powder is. The powders feel very, very similar when you feel them. So I really love this highlighter as like a brightening powder. It is gorgeous, and because it's this pinky shade, it worked really well as brightening as well. So I would apply it a little bit more generously on the tops of my cheekbones. You could apply it in a bit of a heavier hand, I guess I want to say, because it just acted as like a brightening product versus it being like a straight up highlighter. This is something I would definitely recommend if you have more mature skin, because it's not going to sit in any pores, it's not going to sit in any wrinkles, because again, it's more of a brightening powder versus a shimmery highlighter. It's lovely, and this is something I need to use more in my everyday life, but again, I tend not to talk about it as much on camera because it's limited edition, and once it's gone, it's gone. But if it's still available, this is something I definitely recommend because it is absolutely gorgeous. A really beautiful, unique highlighter, because I feel like most of the highlighters on the market are going to give you more of that sheen, that glow, that shimmer, where this is going to give you that more brightening effect, where it's not going to sit in any lines and wrinkles. It's just going to brighten the skin, enhance that natural beauty beautifully. So love this. And then a product I already mentioned in the best of luxury beauty. This is the Chantecaille Lotus Perfect Blur Glow Powder. Beautiful. Again, you can see I've hit pan. I've bought in a backup of this powder because I love it so much, and I am worried that they're going to just keep this limited edition and not bring it back in permanent packaging. But it's beautiful. I love to buff it all over the skin. So after you've applied all your makeup, I like to buff in my makeup just so there's no harsh lines. Everything is seamless. There's not, you know, you can't see the bronzer, blush, and highlighter in distinct lines. Everything is blended seamlessly into the skin. Alternatively, you could also use this, as I was talking about, using this Lotus Radiance highlighter. So therefore, you don't need to buy two powders. I like this beautifully just if you want to just apply it to the tops of the cheekbones, down the nose, kind of like you would as a highlighter, but it's going to be so, so, so subtle. It's going to act almost, like I said, that brightening powder. So you could use it like that as well, and it's going to look so skin-like and gorgeous. So therefore, you wouldn't have to buy two of these powders. You could just use this one and use it in a multitude of different ways. So love this. Holy grail product. I still use this all the time. And again, it's something I don't mention all the time on my channel because once it's gone, you're not going to be able to pick it up anymore. And I try to be really careful about mentioning that stuff, but it is something that is still available and I still recommend. Next, I have the Sisley Ombre Eclat Liquide Eyeshadow in the shade Copper. So this is a beautiful liquid eyeshadow, and it's a really gorgeous formula because it's not one of those liquid eyeshadows that's hard to blend, that, you know, I just feel like liquid eyeshadows can be so tricky because they can dry down on the eyes too quick and then they're hard to blend, they're hard to maneuver. But this is a really beautiful formula because I just felt like you had ample time to work with it. It didn't blend out crazy where it was going all over the eye, but it gives you just this beautiful sheen. It's not an obnoxious liquid eyeshadow where it's overly pigmented with all this shimmer and it's hard to blend. It's just a great formula that's easy to work with. Something I would recommend to people who like natural makeup looks because it's not going to give you a heavy makeup look at all. But this is another thing that I really haven't used a lot this year. It's something I kind of forgot about. And I wonder if it's because it's a liquid eyeshadow. I know these formulas are supposed to be like easy to use. You just apply them and you're good to go. But no, you do need to kind of blend them out a little bit. And because of that, I reach for my more single eyeshadows, like say this Chantecaille Cheek and Eye shade in the shade Ray, or my Chantecaille Luminescent Eye shades, or the, you know, those other single shadows. I tend to use powder shadows more than these because you do kind of need to work with these a little bit more than those powder shadows. So this is something that I have kind of neglected this year, and I still really like the formula, and I actually wonder, I haven't used this in so long, I wonder if it's still going to perform the same way. From the swatch, it looks just as beautiful. It doesn't smell bad or anything, so I'm going to put this on my top shelf so that I use it more because I mean, this is expensive, and I would like to get my use out of it, but I still, I mean, I guess can I say I still recommend it if I haven't used it in such a long time? I still say I recommend it if you're looking for this type of shadow, but this is something I'm going to put on my top shelf so that it inspires me to use it more because I need to use that up before it expires because liquid products always expire quicker than powders. Next on my list, I have the Tom Ford Eye Quad Creme in the shade Tiger Eye and Smoky Topaz. So I definitely use the Tiger Eye more frequently. This is something I still use all the time. I love it. These shimmers are gorgeous because they're just a beautiful sheen. They're not an obnoxious chunky glitter. They're just a really gorgeous formula. They're like a creamy powder. That's how I would describe them. So they start out like a cream eyeshadow, but they do dry down to a powder. They're so beautiful. They're just a silky, they're a silky creamy powder. Does that make sense? But they are really easy to work with. And I just love this formula because these shimmers are just a beautiful, refined sheen that just looks so elegant on the eyes. This is something I tend to use more in the spring and summer, I think just because this coloring screams more spring and summer to me than it does fall. But it is beautiful and it's still something I recommend, and it's still something that I used all the time in 2023 as well. But now they have that Clay to Peau quad. I haven't used this Tiger Eye as much, I will say. I've definitely been pulling for this more. So I'm interested to see what happens in 2024, which products I'll reach for more, but I still do recommend this and still think it's a gorgeous formula. And I'm going to quickly mention the Chanel Ombre Tweed eyeshadow palette in the shade Tweed Couvre. I still actually do use this. I don't show it on my channel because you cannot get your hands on this. It's sold out. It was limited edition. I specifically use this product as a one and done eyeshadow. I like to use it when I go out. It's beautiful. I really liked this formula. I had no complaints. This is definitely the one I use the most, and this color is just such a beautiful bronzy shade. But besides the point, you can't get it anymore, but it's a beautiful sheen. I really liked this formula. I thought it was gorgeous. I'm just kind of glad I have it on hand. Again, I'm going to be doing a declutter and I will be keeping this. That's how much I like it. Moving on to the Hourglass Voye Waterproof Gel Eyeliner in the shade Obsidian. I actually bought the shade Cave this year, and I use the Cave one more, which is a deep brown. The Obsidian is a black. I like this to tightline my eyes. This is a holy grail. This is something I've repurchased, and I will repurchase, so I still love this. And then I also have the Gucci Mascara L'Obscure in the shade Black. I still really love this mascara. This formula, I would say, is my favorite, but I want them to come out with this in brown. I want this in a brown. I feel like, come on, mascara companies, we need more shades. And I just love brown mascara, so I would say the YSL is leaning, it's edging this one out, even though I like the formula of the Gucci more. I just like the shade of the YSL, the brown shade, just so much more that I will just continue to repurchase the YSL because I like the shade so much. But if Gucci released this in brown, I would be buying this again and again because I used it today and I love how it makes my eyelashes look. So come out in brown and this will be my holy grail. For lips, it was the Merit Signature Lightweight Lipstick in the shade Baby. I've already gone through one. This is my second. I'm almost done it and I will be picking up a third. I mentioned this in my best luxury beauty of all time. This is a favorite, so I don't want to go on about this because I've mentioned it over and over and you've seen me use it an insane amount of times on my channel. I love this. And then I have the Sisley Paris Phyto Rouge Shine Refillable Lipstick in the shade Sheer Nude. I really like this lipstick, but man, I have not used it in a really long time. And see, this is the problem with lip colors, is that I really need to stop buying them because I tend to just obsess over one and wear it over and over again. But again, this is going to go on my top shelf. I'm going to put it where I use my lip products because I really need to use this up. I want to use it before it expires. Lipsticks are the fastest products to expire. So I'm going to be very, very, very cautious when I'm buying lipsticks this year because they just expire the fastest and I don't use them up as much as I would hope so. So my goal for 2024 is to really start using what's in my collection instead of like, man, I've used this so much, but switch it up, Lisa. You have a lot of other lip colors. You don't just need to use this product. Use some of your other stuff, and I'm going to do that before I actually repurchase this. I've made this decision. I'm going to purchase this during the Sephora sale. I'm not going to repurchase it till then, and I'm going to use up some of my other products because that's just what a waste of money to just continue to buy that and not use what's already in my collection. And I really like this formula. I think it is beautiful. It is so hydrating. Like the formula is very similar to this, so it's like, why don't I just use this product? It's beautiful, but I haven't used it as much as I would have hoped to. So this is going in my to-use pile. And oh, one more product, Eclat Peau Refining Pressed Powder. You've heard me talk on and on and on and on and on about this, so I won't go on about this. This is the holy grail, so yes, it is something that I'm still using. This was actually a really fun video to do, and this makes me happy for what I do on my channel, that I do have a curated collection because I still really love all these products and there's stuff that I did continue to use in the year of 2023. Some of them fell by the wayside, but they're all still really great products, and it's kind of re-inspired me to pick some of them up. For the most part, I did continue to use all of these, but some of them just kind of fell off a little bit, probably because I got some new products in and got excited by those. But this just really reminds me that I don't need all the makeup that I buy, and I'm so picky with what I buy, and I even feel like I buy too much. So this just reminds me, you really don't need as much makeup as you think you do, and people just talk about new releases so quickly. You get over, like, new products get introduced and then you're over them in a week, and it's just crazy to me just how quickly, like, we think we need a product, but then if we just wait a month, no one's going to be talking about that product anymore and you're going to forget you even needed it. And makeup is not something you need, it's just a want. And I think a lot of an issue with the social media these days is people feel like you are missing out if you don't pick up a product. They'll say it's the best, I'm obsessed with this, it's my favorite, you need this. Do you need it? No, you're going to survive without it. It's not that great. And if it is, wait 6 months and see if that person is still talking about it. I think that's a big thing with my channel as well. I never want you to feel like you need something or that you're missing out because you don't have it. And if I do pick something up and I say I love it, wait 6 months and see if I'm still talking about it, because I think sometimes people can get really excited about new products, but you don't truly know if they're going to be something that is going to stick around in someone's collection until you wait 6 months or you wait a few months and see if they're still talking about it. And anyways, social media is just so interesting to me, but I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Again, let me know if you have any other video ideas. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you like it, and I'll see you in my next video.